I've been on the hunt for a big screen that actually works for the kind of work I do: color critical design, video editing, and occasional client presentations, and I keep hearing the same story. The product looks amazing on the listing, but once it's on the desk it either falls short on color accuracy or ends up being a headache to mount and connect. I've spoken to a handful of studio owners and read through several professional monitor forums, and the consensus is that you really need to know what you're getting before you drop the cash on a 55-inch panel. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The NEC Sharp Display 55 Wide Color Gamut Ultra High Definition Professional Display tries to position itself as that all-in-one solution. At first glance it's a massive 55-inch screen with a 4K UHD resolution and a claim of wide color gamut, which sounds perfect for anyone who needs to see the full range of sRGB or DCI-P3 when they're working on graphics or grading footage. But the real question is whether the panel delivers those promises in everyday use, and whether the surrounding ecosystem inputs, mounting options, software calibration makes it a practical purchase for a small studio or a corporate boardroom. Let's start with who actually benefits from a display of this size. If you're a freelance motion designer who spends most of the day in After Effects or DaVinci Resolve, the extra screen real estate can cut down on window hopping dramatically. A 55-inch 4K canvas lets you line up a timeline at the bottom, a color correction panel on the side, and still have plenty of room for a full-screen preview. The same goes for architects and CAD users. Being able to view a full floor plan at true scale without constantly zooming in feels like a genuine productivity boost. In a conference room setting, the wide color gamut means you can display brand-accurate videos to clients without needing a separate projector, and the built-in scaling handles 1080p and 4K sources without a noticeable lag. On the flip side, if your workflow is mostly text-based email, spreadsheets, a bit of web browsing, or you're a gamer who craves high refresh rates, the NEC Sharp display isn't aimed at you. The panel is tuned for color fidelity and uniformity, not for the sub-30 millisecond response times that matter in fast-paced gaming. Also, the sheer physical footprint can be a problem if you're in a cramped office. The stand is sturdy but takes up a lot of desk space, and while VESA-compatible mounting is supported, you'll need a wall or a dedicated mount that can handle the weight, which adds extra cost and effort. Now, let's talk about what the display actually does well. The wide color gamut claim isn't just marketing fluff. The panel covers close to 100% of the DCI-P3 space, which is the standard for digital cinema. In practice, that translates to deeper reds and richer blues when you open a calibrated video file. I saw a quick side-by-side comparison with a standard office monitor, and the difference was obvious enough that a client could immediately spot the more vibrant branding colors. The factory calibration is a nice touch. 2NEC ships the unit with a preset ICC profile that you can load via the on-screen menu, saving you the trouble of buying an external colorimeter for basic work. Another practical strength is the connectivity suite. The display offers two HDMI 2.0 ports, a DisplayPort 1.4, and a USB-C input that carries video, data, and power. In a typical studio rig, that means you can hook up a laptop with a single USB-C cable, keep your external drives on the built-in USB hub, and still have a dedicated HDMI for a media player. The built-in speaker system isn't meant to replace a dedicated audio setup, but the 10-watt stereo output is surprisingly clear for quick playback or video calls. The on-screen menu is organized by function, so switching between inputs or adjusting color settings doesn't feel like digging through endless submenus. Where the NEC Sharp display shows its trade-offs is in the ergonomics of installation. The stand allows for tilt, but there's no height adjustment, which can be an issue if the desk height isn't perfectly matched to the panel's fixed elevation. Many reviewers on professional monitor forums mentioned that they had to add a custom riser or a wall mount to get the eye-level position right, especially in a control room setup where you might be seated for hours. The panel also runs a bit hotter than a typical consumer TV. The ventilation grills are at the rear, and if the unit is placed too close to a wall, you may notice a slight increase in fan noise after prolonged high-brightness use. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's something to keep in mind if you need a perfectly silent environment. Another nuance is the price-to-performance ratio. Compared with other 55-inch professional panels that promise similar color coverage, the NEC Sharp display lands in a mid to high price bracket. The value really comes from the built-in calibration and the robust connectivity, so if you already own a colorimeter and don't need the factory profile, you might find a